So here you have all the printed parts that are needed to build the helmet. And as you can see, if you fine-tune your printer, the post-processing will be okay. So the only thing I did was filled up this with some putty so it can dry in the meantime. And I did this because I printed this, I oriented it like this. And the reason I printed it like this is because it will save me a lot of time and filament. And even though it's on the outside, if you look at the surfaces, these are curved, easy to fill up, to sand, to post-process, so it's more efficient like that. And I think you get where all the pieces go for the helmet. So I'm going to sand everything, and afterwards we are going to install these magnets for the spikes that go on top. And why do I do that is I want to disassemble this because it makes transportation more easier and secure, and I want to avoid the spikes, they break off during transportation. So I'm going to spare you of all the sanding parts, and in the next video you will see me installing these magnets. So let's get started to the sanding part, and I see you back in a bit. So here you have the final result after several layers of priming, sanding, priming and sanding. The final stage of that is to wet sand everything, and as you can see, those darker spots areas, these were still minor imperfections that I had to correct. And for the sanding and priming and sanding and priming part, I use this spray putty because this is thicker than a normal primer. And as the very last, before I start painting, I spray on this plastic primer, and this will help adhere the paint layers that comes afterwards. Concerning the spikes, I've installed magnets everywhere and also in the spike itself, so they stay on firmly and it's much easier for transportation. So the first layer that we are going to spray on is this blue, little bit of purple. This will be the base coat. After that, I will show you later on during the process, I will add another color, a purple, more purple color, some shading, and I will be using some chameleon paints to add that special effect. And the spikes will be done in this silver acrylic paint. And I will also add some shading to give a more realistic, give it more depth characteristics than just a flat silver color. So let's continue. the base I will be using this piece of styrofoam. These are 2 pieces, 3 centimeters, 2. And the idea that I had is to create the battleground of Siegfried at the end. You know, just in front of the statue with the tiles. So the idea is to recreate it, some tiles here, and maybe cover it with some snow, and here underneath the tile I will create some rocky surfaces. I also printed this. Well, a friend of mine printed this because I'm out of available 3D printers. This will be placed in the middle, it goes underneath, but the idea is to stick a pillar, a spike here, so we can put the helmet on, so this will come in the middle. To be honest, I really don't have any idea how it's going to look like. Yeah, we'll have to see along the way how it goes. Okay, let's continue.